This is a case for Sharron Settlemire DOC 745883. We have Clinton Bowers, who is the victim, who would like to speak. We have Evelyn Scarborough, who's also with Pam Hubbard. They are victims and they would like to speak. We have Susan Bourne, who's a friend, who would like to speak in support. We have Lynn Fitzgerald, who's a friend who would like to speak in support. We also have Linda Clements, who's a friend who will be speaking in support too.
So who was the last one you mentioned? I don't see him on the screen.
They're currently in the process of joining.
And you said that's Lynn Clements?
Linda Clements.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, Ms. Sharron. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Would you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Sure. My name is Sharron Settlemire. My DOC number is 745883.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Settlemeyer, my name is Cheryl Renatza. My colleagues on the panel today, Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Tony Marabella. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Marabella this morning, so I'll let him go over the particulars with you. We'll hear from the warden, and then we'll hear from those folks who've indicated they'd like to speak. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement before we vote. So I'm going to just turn it over to Mr. Marabella.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Settlemeyer. Am I pronouncing that correct?
That's correct.
Good morning. My name is Tony Marabella. I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Settlemeyer, how long have you been in prison now?
Going on 2 years.
Okay. Tell me a little bit. I've reviewed the case, and there seems to be some question about really what happened here. I mean, I know it was a long time ago. I have a pretty clear understanding of what I believe happened. I'd like for you to tell me in your own words what happened here.
Okay, going back to high school when I was teaching.
2000, year 2000 or so.
Okay, year 2000 or so. That was 2 years before I retired. Going back to what we discussed in the case and what happened, Evelyn Scarborough started taking fencing in her sophomore year of high school, and I don't remember off the top of my head what year that was.
I guess my question, I don't really need you to go through the whole background. I guess my question is, your comments, as I understood it, is that you didn't do anything with her until she graduated.
Right.
That's not what I understand the facts are. So tell me what your position is about when you first started with Miss Scarborough.
Well, we started an emotional relationship her senior year because we became very close because I was her teacher coach. We worked together so often and so many times after school. We didn't have a physical relationship until she was out of school. I had about 4 or 5 days to go before I retired. And that's when it happened, and it happened during that summer. That is what I testified to at the trial, and that's what happened.
And to your understanding, how old was she at that time?
18.
Now, we also have information that there was another student that you were involved with. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I was not involved with any other student.
Okay, so if
Never
there's
have
any
been.
info.
No, I never have been.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your time in prison right now. You did have one write-up, I see, back in October of 2019 for disobedience. What was that about?
or disobedience. I didn't really know. What happened was the captain called me into her office and asked me if I had given an inmate's name and DOC number over the phone to my family. And I said, no, I haven't. And we kept going back and forth, and I kept telling her that I did not do that. Finally, she wrote it up, and the captain at night called me into her office, and she said, this is what we have. Is it true? And I said, if my family had that DOC number, then I guess I did it. But I didn't do it. I found out later. They looked online and found that DOC number. I didn't think I had, but I couldn't have sworn to it. I had just been incarcerated that summer, and this is a whole new world to me. I really didn't do that, but I did get that little write-up. I had forgotten about it.
Talk to me about the appropriateness of your relationship with your student back when you were a teacher and what ultimately happened. Tell me what, if anything, you've thought about over these years, anything you do differently. Tell me about that. Do you have any regrets about any of that other than the fact that you're in prison?
No, being in prison really is secondary to what really happened. And I have had a lot of time to soul search, think, and remember actually what happened back then. I take total responsibility. It is all my fault. My ex-student there was nothing, she did nothing wrong. I am the one that did something wrong, and I'm very remorseful because I caused so much pain to her family and to her and to my family and those who love me and those who love her. And I made a major mistake. I made an ethical and moral mistake that I had never made before in my 32 years. That did not happen to me. And I cannot even begin to tell the family and her how regretful I feel and how remorseful I am about this, because truly it has impacted me. It has changed me. It is just it's something that I wish the family, I could sit and talk with the family and tell them, because I love the family. And I hurt for them. I do, because they're the ones who are suffering, not me.
Tell me what it is that you believe you did wrong. I mean, I'm hearing that you didn't start a relationship until she was an adult. So tell me what it is you've done wrong then.
I didn't have a physical relationship with her prior to her 17th birthday, I know. And from what I remember, we remember different things. And like it had been, I think, 15 years, and I didn't remember. I'm getting older, and I did not remember all the details, but from what I remembered, she was already out. She was a senior, and they had not graduated. And it was my fault. It was not her fault. It was mine. And I feel shame for that, but more than that, I feel pain for her. She shouldn't have had to go through that.
While you've been in prison, you've taken several programs. I see you've taken a lot of programs while you've been in prison. Have you taken any sex offender programs?
Oh yeah, yes, sir. I'm currently enrolled in phase 2 of the Louisiana Cognitive Behavioral Sex Offender Treatment Program.
Okay, and that's a 4-phase program, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, I'm in Celebrate Recovery Inside present time. So I'm in 2 classes now.
Tell me what you've learned thus far in the 2 phases that you've taken with sex offender treatment that might be germane to your issue.
Honestly, I haven't seen, unless I were to justify what happened, I can't justify it. So I think that's something that I tried to justify in my mind before I was in this course. I tried to make it seem like there's equal blame, but there's not equal blame. I am the adult, no matter the age. I am the adult. I spent so much time in the classroom and never, ever had my character questioned. And then I did something stupid. And that's all that's a very simple word, but that's all I can say. It was stupid. I justify and denial. I think that those are, and blame. Many of the terms that we use in that class, I can relate to.
Tell me a little bit about your medical condition now.
Well, I was diagnosed in 1998. I have arachnoiditis of the spine, which is a debilitating disease of the spine. I'm getting along okay right now. I'm in pain, but I'm handling it since, and I am having. I'm going to have surgery on my right arm because I cannot use it. I've torn 2 of the 3 rotator cuffs, and I have to place my hand wherever I'm going to put it.
Now, is the rotator cuff damage a result of the disease that you have?
No, it has nothing at all to do with it.
Okay.
It was already torn. One of them was already torn. I had an MRI before my trial, and I was going to have surgery that fall, but my plans were, because I'm in prison. And then while I was here, I just reached out to touch the shower button, and when I did, I tore the biceps tendon here. And so I am going to have that surgery. Trying not to have it while I'm in here. I would rather have it at home with my orthopedic surgeon who knows me well. I have a lot of physical problems, and I have a triple arthrodesis in my left foot. I have nerve damage in the spine from a 1977 accident, which causes partial paralyzation at times of my left leg and my left toes. I can walk if I walk behind my wheelchair holding on to it, but otherwise I cannot walk, which, but it is what it is, and I understand that. My blood pressure dropped to 43/28 last month, and they had to put me in the hospital, rush me to the hospital. But I think that's just a one-time thing. I don't think that's something.
Are you currently taking medication for the pain?
They do have me on some anti-inflammatory medication, and they have me on Voltaren and Diflinic, I think it is.
Tell me a little bit about your plans if you are paroled today. Where would you live?
I would live in Shreveport, Louisiana, in my home. I have a home.
Yeah. Who would be living there with you?
My partner, Fran Wise, and my basically sister, Jan Lawrence. Both.
How long have you and your partner been together?
33 years. 33 years.
I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you very much for answering them.
Thank you so
Madam
much.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Ms. Wise?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm speaking. Okay. In your answers to my colleague, you indicated that you had started a emotional relationship with your student. Explain that to me.
Okay. When I say emotional, we became closer and closer, where she would discuss her life with me and things that were going on in her home and whatever in her life. And I think it's a bond that you build with teachers.
Okay.
And I've got a bond with other people like that too, that never turned, it never turned physical. And never thought about it turning physical. But, I stepped beyond the limits with this person, with Evelyn.
All right.
And that's what I mean by that. You have to get emotionally close to someone, and sometimes I guess it can bring about physical. You want to be with them as much as you can. I really can't reason my insanity at that time. I really can't.
And we're talking about 3 years, like 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade.
Oh, no, well, her 10th grade year, she was in fencing, but she was in my 7th hour, and I had so many students in that class. I didn't pay any or much attention to her at all because I had so many students, and I didn't even know she liked fencing. It was not until her junior year that she really got into fencing. And I knew she had potential. I knew she had potential to be a great fencer. And she was. And she was. She was national champion in 2007. She was very, very good. Yes.
Right. Well, thank you. That's the only comment, question I had. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. We'll hear next from the warden, Warden Boutte. Is there anything you can add to the conversation?
Yes. Can I ask y'all a question? So I'm not directing to her, so I make sure I understand. Is it that you're understanding that there was only an emotional relationship with this person in their senior year, which that person didn't know? It was an emotional relationship, and then it turned physical after she graduated? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think so, yes.
All right. Well, then, no, I don't have anything to add to this.
Thank you, Warden Boutte. We appreciate it. So we'll hear next from the folks who are here in support. Could we hear from Ms. Lynn Fitzgerald first, please? You'll have to unmute your microphone, Ms. Fitzgerald.
Here. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Lynn Fitzgerald, and I am here hopefully to share some information with you about the lady behind the number 745-883. I have known Sharron across many landscapes, both socially and professionally. Over 40 years ago, we were young, dark-headed teachers at Magnet High School in Shreveport, Louisiana, who became lifetime friends. I also became friends with her lifelong friend and housemate, Jan. The three of us often fished on Toledo Bend. Now, Sharron would probably laugh and say it was more like running the boat up and down the river rather than fishing. 2 years later, I was named an assistant principal at Magnet High School. And in that role, I actually was responsible for supervising and observing Sharron professionally. She really was good, and I never, ever had a complaint. In the 80s, I was named and remained principal at C.E. Byrd High School for the next 17 years. Now, during that time, I was able to rather enjoy Sharron's reputation grow as a master teacher, a sought-after workshop presenter, and a frequent distinguished member of both parish and state committees. Many years later, Fran, a lifelong nurse and supervisor at the Shriner Hospital for Children, joined the household, and I always called them the girls. So you may wonder why a career educator speaking in behalf of someone convicted of, I think, the most abhorrent of education's violations, the attempted molestation of a student, something I would nor could ever condone, friend or not. I oftentimes told my faculty that we were all just one step away from an accusation that could ruin our careers. I never dreamed it would be my friend. Beloved by her colleagues, parents, and students, a Louisiana PTSA Teacher of Distinction, a finalist for the Louisiana Teacher of the Year, a nationally recognized Coach of the Year, among her many recognitions. None of us were there to know what exactly happened. I can only know what a court ruled, that is fact, and that is what must be accepted. But in all the times I've been with Sharron, I have never, ever seen a single incident of an inappropriate word or deed. I was around the girls, and Evelyn kind of was included in the girls occasionally over the 15 years following the incident. During that time, Evelyn's mom generously covered Sharron's travel expenses to coach Evelyn's post-high school Olympic dreams, and she was good. And her mother often accompanied them. The girls were very fond of Evelyn's mother as well. Jan even worked 7 years as office manager in her medical practice. Not unlike many of Sharron's students who stayed in touch, Sharron encouraged Evelyn to get her master's degree, helped her get in PT school, and later a PT job with friends at the rehab center. Very kindly, Evelyn even came to my home one evening to check my knee after my 2 boxers had tripped me up. Evelyn's parents were kind enough to even help her buy her first home next door to the girls. Evelyn was actually a part of that family. Everyone was hurt in this story, not just Evelyn or even Sharron, but all who loved and cared for both of them. I'm sad for all of those who were involved. These were family, they were friends who cared for each other, and they were all good people. Healing for all of us, I think, must begin at first with forgiveness. Every time I've talked to Sharron, and she has called me over the last 18 months, she has been remarkably upbeat, telling me how many peppermints she has won off her buddies, and that she has met so many really, really nice women. And really, it's not so bad, and she's doing okay. Faith is an amazing companion. This is not a mean person. She's not a monster. She's not sinister. She's compassionate, certainly fun to be around, has a great laugh. People tend to gravitate to her personality. We have fished together and played golf, sort of. We've cried over several lost dogs, have mourned the loss of our parents, suffered through knee replacements and other torn this and that's. We've laughed long and often and welcomed new dogs into our lives. We've celebrated each other's special times and sat silently with one another when consoling needed no words. We've grown up, we've grown old, and we have grown gray together, now both realizing that our windows are closing. Sharron's whole life has been about her friends, students, family, her dogs, and her faith. She has a home with a family and girls who love and want to take care of her. She is very fortunate to be financially independent, have insurance to address her health issues, and secure the therapy she so desperately needs if she is ever to get out of that wheelchair. And of course, she has her dogs. She is certainly no threat to anyone. I hope you will find in Sharron's favor and let her go home. She will never be truly free. This is her hell till the day she dies. I hope you will see the person I know. She is just so much more than a number, and she is so worth giving another chance. And I hope to be there the day that she walks through those doors, and Chotsky and Ellen's tails will be wagging, and there'll be lots of tears. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzgerald. Ms. Bourne? And I can give you about 2 minutes. I'm sorry, we're running out of time. Go ahead. You'll have to unmute your microphone.
Ryan.
There you go.
Thank you so much. I won't take long. I've known Sharron for 30 years, since my first child started at Magnet in 1989. My son fenced in her classroom for 4 years, and during that time, she was such a positive influence on him. He liked playing with the wires. He liked fixing the equipment better than he liked being on strip. And with her encouragement, he followed that desire. He's now an electrical engineer with a master's, working for an international company as a project architect. I credit Sharron with a lot of his success. I also have known her personally. We worked together on a charity fencing tournament. I know Sharron from not just school, but in her personal life too. We've spent a lot of time together. She's a woman of integrity and caring and compassion. I was fortunate enough to come visit her December of 19. And at that time, she said to me, I think I might be doing some good here. And she was very concerned about everyone, my family, all the people that are there. And I know she's no threat to anyone. I hope she can come home soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bourne. Ms. Clements, if you could unmute your phone, and we'd like to hear a brief statement from you.
Sorry that my camera doesn't work. My granddaughter put it in tricks, but I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of Sharron. I taught next door to her for almost 20 years at Caddo Parish Magnet High School, so I've known her for quite a long time. And I've never known her to be anything but a professional, kind, competent person dedicated to her field. In fact, she was loved by all of her students as well as fellow teachers, and really, we all thought of her as a master teacher. I think it's time to take a second look at her in this stage of her life and release her back to the community that cares about her. I think the one mistake that Sharron made was being too kind, too caring, trying to counsel students who had psychological problems that probably were beyond her scope or her ability to help. But she's never been a threat to anybody as long as I've known her. So I hope she'll be released soon. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bowers, are you here representing Ms. Scarborough?
Your Honor, ma'am, I don't represent Ms. Scarborough. I'm Ms. Scarborough's best friend since high school.
Okay, good. Can we hear your statement now?
Certainly, if you're ready for me, I'm prepared to
Yes.
go. Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in opposition to Ms. Settlemeyer's application for parole. I've known Ms. Settlemeyer and her victim, Evelyn, since I was a 17-year-old student attending Caddo Magnet High School in Shreveport. I learned to love and respect her, as many in our community did, and as you've heard this morning. Until December 31st of 2015, I had no idea that behind her carefully constructed veneer was a deviant sexual predator who preyed upon and would ultimately almost destroy the life of my dearest and closest friend. On New Year's Eve of 2015, my life changed forever. That's the day that I inadvertently stumbled upon Settlemeyer's big secret, that she had sexually abused Evelyn when we were in high school. Evelyn did not reveal this to me out of any desire to bring attention to herself or to seek revenge. She only reluctantly revealed this to me because I refused to give up on trying to figure out why my best friend was suffering and wilting before my eyes. In the days which followed, each day for Evelyn was a struggle against the severe depression and anxiety she experienced because of the sexual and psychological abuse inflicted on her by Settlemeyer. I worried nearly every day for the first 18 months after her revelation that I was going to wake up or come home from work and discover that Evelyn's burden had become more than she could bear, and that she had taken her own life because of the effects of Settlemeyer's twisted manipulation and brainwashing of my friend. This woman who is asking you for mercy today programmed a teenage student to believe it was her duty and her obligation to protect her from being discovered as a sexual predator. Ultimately, it was Settlemeyer's own words admitting her deviant behavior when she thought no one else but Evelyn could hear that resulted in her conviction. Even today, she doesn't accept responsibility for those actions or that she did anything wrong. It is interesting that her partner, Fran, of 30 plus years, isn't present speaking on her behalf today. The weight of the crimes that our adult teacher, entrusted by our parents, school administrators, and the community to protect us and our innocence, placed on Evelyn as a teenager and as a young adult was simply unfathomable. Evelyn continues to suffer from PTSD because of Settlemeyer's actions to this day. It is convenient for her to be sorry now whenever she seeks mercy from this board. However, Settlemeyer already received mercy by receiving less than the statutory maximum sentence. 4 years of incarceration pales in comparison to the hell that Evelyn is going to live in for the rest of her life because of Settlemeyer's actions. I live 3 doors down from Settlemeyer in Norris Ferry Landing neighborhood in Shreveport. My neighborhood is filled with young families with young children who regularly play on the streets. I urge you to think of their safety of these law-abiding families as you reach your decision. Today is about justice, and Evelyn deserves justice in seeing her abuser serve the entire sentence for her heinous crimes against a teenage child. Evelyn is the only victim that we know of. However, I'm certain in my soul that there are more over her decades-long teaching career. I thank you for your time and listening to and considering my remarks, and I thank you for your service to the people of our state.
Thank you, Mr. Bowers. Okay, now we'd like to hear from Ms. Scarborough.
Thank you to the parole board for giving me the chance to speak. As a sad, scared 16-year-old, I looked to Settlemeyer for help. And she took my vulnerability and used it for her own sexual gratification. She told me that if anyone found out about our relationship, that I would ruin my family and my school's reputation. She told me my life would be over. Those were her exact words. Settlemeyer abused me every day after school for years. I lived in fear well into my adulthood, under her direction, shutting out my family and even my closest friends. She took my innocence away from me. In 2019, I went through the second hardest time in my life, testifying at Settlemeyer's trial. I had to relive all the worst memories of her that I had tried so hard to forget. Sharron Settlemire has never admitted to her crimes, nor has she ever apologized for them. She has already been given a lenient sentence for one of the most awful crimes one can commit. I have learned to live with those facts. The effects of her abuse still affect me to this very day. I am here today to ask for the protection of the community from Sharron Settlemire. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scarborough. Did Ms. Pam want to speak?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I am also advocating for Ms. Settlemire to not be granted parole. As a seasoned mental health counselor and a partner to Evelyn, I know what the long-term effects of early childhood abuse have. And not only is everything that I have heard and seen from Ms. Settlemeyer textbook of perpetrators, the effects on Evelyn are much deeper than her prison time could possibly provide justice for. There is not a day that goes by that Evelyn is not affected by the damage this woman laid. And she seems to be trying to present as this innocent old woman, but the reality is that she has been presenting as innocent the whole time that she was actively abusing her student. And as a person who was granted an authority position based on my career, taking advantage of someone and victimizing them for personal gain is of the utmost disgrace for any person in a position of authority. And she is a danger to all the children in her neighborhood, and she is a danger to adults around her. Her behavior controlled everyone around her for the whole time she was abusing Evelyn. And I do not think that she should be allowed to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So to wrap it up, Ms. Settlemire, is there a brief statement you want to make?
Well, I would just like to say in response.
Well, go ahead and be sure you address your remarks to the panel, the parole panel.
Yes.
Okay,
that's
go
right.
ahead.
Yes. I'm not a threat to anyone. I'm not a sexual predator. If you look back at my record, 32 years, I'm not a sexual predator. I was a high school teacher, college teacher for 5, and then 27 in the high school classroom. And I'm not a sexual predator. I made a mistake. I know I made a mistake. It is my fault. I am remorseful. I'm totally remorseful. I know what I did was wrong. Nothing like that had ever happened to me, and nothing like that would ever happen again. I just thank you for giving me a chance to talk. And I realized that the victim is hurt, but the victim had many, many problems before this. And that's one reason we became close. In fact, that's the main reason we became close. So I don't agree with what was said, but I wouldn't. So I do apologize to the family and to all involved, because there are a lot of people involved in this. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is the panel prepared to vote?
Ma'am.
Mr. Marabella?
Ms. Settlemeyer,
Yes,
and everyone who has spoken here today, I appreciate your being here to shed light on what is a very difficult job for this panel to do. Ms. Settlemeyer, we are not here to retry your case.
yes,
We're here to kind of look and see who you are today and what has happened since these facts happened. But it's very difficult to ignore the facts of this case. And it concerns me very much that I hear you suggesting this young woman had problems before your relationship with her. You were a school teacher, and we place school teachers in a position of trust and authority. And we all know how very important that position is and how vulnerable students are. You have suggested that this didn't happen when she was young, yet a jury found you guilty of attempted molestation of a juvenile. I am very concerned about your acceptance of responsibility. You're saying the right words, but I'm not hearing you really acknowledge what you did was wrong and why it was wrong. You are currently in sex offender treatment. Perhaps that finishing that program might give you more insight as to what has happened. There is significant opposition. Obviously, we've heard the victim here today talk about that. Law enforcement opposition, it's uniform that they are opposed to your release. Based upon all of those things, it's going to be my vote today to deny your parole. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Ms. Wise?
Ms. Sharon, my vote is going to be the same for the same reasons. It is concerning, that we have not completed a sex offender treatment program. Once you complete that, you have an opportunity to write back for a rehearing.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. And I do concur, Ms. Settlemeyer. I think it's very critical that you do complete the sex offender treatment. So based on the opposition that's been expressed here today, the opposition we have in the record, my vote today is to deny your parole. Good luck to you, ma'am. Thanks, everybody who participated today. We appreciate it.
Wow.
Ms. Renata, I believe we're ready to adjourn at LCIW.
This was just something totally different than I think we've seen. And I have a lot of information I'll share with you. I agree with the verdict. Going through the hearing, I was and also reading the notes, I was really just confused and and wondering what more is there. Knowing from reading the different posts is that she wasn't even accused until 19 years later. So, I'm sorry, 17 years later after the alleged offense. So she's living her life. She's, being this coach and doing this stuff. And it's 17 years later, she comes up and accuses her of this. And knowing that while going through the hearing and listening to all the support, and also keeping in mind from my perspective that, like, you see this with other cases, like celebrities, things like that, but other coaches, like, you have one victim come out and then the rest come out of the woodwork. And some type of, like, argument I would always make is that if someone is accused and then there's not then this ripple effect or this pile-on effect, to me it sends like a really strong message to question, especially when it's 17 years later. You would, but the things that she said and the way that she acted during the hearing, she just didn't help herself. There's where I I don't know if you were watching her eyes, but when the victim was talking, she was rolling her eyes and making faces. It's just so inappropriate on so many levels. She, at the end there, made sure to, like, throw a jab that well, she had problems before this, and that's why I was friends with her. I think when she started talking, I think she stated it was my fault, not her fault. It was my fault, not her fault. It was me. And I think she's 3 times. And that stuck out to me too. I'm like, why are you saying that? It's really what I'm hearing is you're saying that it was her fault, but you're going to take accountability. Of course it's your fault. You're the teacher. Like, why would you say that? And then also she's, oh, my memory is getting bad. I don't remember. She had turned 17 or she was, and it was like, okay, what do you mean your memory? You had a trial. You remember exactly what it is. So that was the classic manipulation right there too. Something strange about this case too was when the warden asked a question which I've never seen before, that type of question. The warden wanted to clarify. He said, did she say that, what'd she say, that this didn't happen until she had turned a certain age? It didn't become physical? It's like, it was just kind of strange that the warden looked for that clarity. We don't see that. And it is pretty interesting to me that a jury did find her guilty. Basically, it was his word against hers, and she would have had all, her entire career flawless, spotless, no other accusers. The principal shows up, but you look at the victim, I don't know if she took the stand, but she's just not likable at all. And she kind of just seems, there's just an energy, very negative energy that comes from her, and maybe that had something to do with it. But remember, she did admit to having it. She's not like denying it, so we know that she did, and it's and I agree that she's not taking accountability. It's quite strange, and it's strange to me as well that we are seeing. Why does this look so weird? Okay, it's better. That we are seeing like the former principal support her, because it's like, imagine if it was a different scenario, if it was a man. I'm sorry, but I hate to say that, but I think it would be very, and then a bunch of, let's jump to this.
Morning, a jury convicts this former Shreveport fencing coach, 72-year-old Sharron Settlemire, of allegations that she attempted to molest a teen. She was taught at Caddo Magnet High. Law enforcement officers arrested her back in 2017. Now, these allegations were from a 16-year-old at the time. He is now 33 years old. She appears in court for sentencing next week.
Well, not he, she, but all right. I mean, we didn't get that much additional insight there. But Sharron, she was 72 at the time that she was found guilty of attempted of a juvenile on Thursday. A 3-man, 3-woman jury took 2 hours, basically enough time to have lunch and talk a little bit, to reach the verdict. 2 hours. I wish I could see what they saw. Settlemeyer taught at Caddo Magnet High School and was an employee for the Superior School. She was arrested in 2017 and charged by the victim, who at the time was 16 and is now 33 years old. This is when this was written. Both the victim and Settlemeyer had a large group of supporters in court. This is something that's interesting. Now, at first, I saw this and I said, wow, this is really sending a message, because it's the high school fencing club website, and she's still listed here, the founder and all of her pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if they're sending a message, the school, that they think she's innocent. But then I realized this is a website that it's the fencing website. It's not the school website. And, it's Weebly.com. It's like, it's basically like, she put this together, and it hasn't been updated. If you can see, it's site under construction, 2017, 2018 year. So it's, they have a YouTube channel. Oh, it's, I'll put this link in the description, but the site is frozen in time from basically the time she got locked up. And there's a Facebook post as well, which is quite interesting. If you just look at all of the comments where people are saying, hey, she was my coach, and I mean, she was always great to me, and no one has anything bad to say about her. This one, this is interesting. They denied bond for her, and denied bond Wednesday for former high school physical education teacher who was convicted and is awaiting sentencing. Allen argued the 72-year-old is in poor health. It's interesting that they even denied bond. I mean, where was she going to go? In addition, he said that there must be numerous instances in which prisoners awaiting sentencing have suffered physical ailments. Here's just an update from 6/26/19 that the testimony continued. We'll do another hearing after this, everyone. So stick around. Minors 18 years ago, now 72, allegedly committed this one. Now here they say allegedly when the student was 15 while she was working as a teacher. On the witness stand in Cato, the accuser testified. So that's really what it was. I mean, the accuser took the stand and testified that it happened every day after school for 2 years. Imagine that. So we have, that's the story that the jury believed, and the story that we heard from her was just completely different. I mean, it was that there was nothing happened. There was an emotional relationship because the victim had a messed up childhood, and she, was the knight in shining armor and bringing support. And unfortunately, things got out of hand. But she didn't do anything until she was, older. And it's just not true. I mean, according to this, it's that it happened every day after school for 2 years. It involved watching a television show, drinking, and for 1 or 2 hours. However, upon cross-examination, the accuser admitted the television series did not premiere until 4 years after the alleged crime began. Oh, boy. Well, that's awkward. So they said, what television show did you watch? And then this is cross. And then the attorney says, well, that show didn't come on until 4 years after. Now, of course, that's an easy mistake to make, but that's a good job on the attorney if you want to create some doubt. But the jury didn't care. 17-year-old former high school teacher and coach accused. Juvenile began Monday in district court. Let's see if there's anything else. So here it was after convicted 2 weeks ago. I just love all these ads. They're just amazing. They're just wonderful. While I was incarcerated over the last 12 days, I've had time to reflect, and I understand I've been tried and convicted, but I am not, as she says in the same thing, I am not a predator. As the prosecution has said, I am a Christian woman. Well, that's a red flag. You know what I mean. It doesn't matter about guilt or innocence. It's a red flag when you say it, right? Just because it's never looked good when we've seen it. It doesn't matter about guilt or innocence at this point. It's the pain of both families that are involved. I am truly sorry for the student and her family. For 48 years, I've been a model citizen. I've taught more than 3,000 students, and there's never been an accusation until this charge. I'm almost 73. I'm not a threat to the community. I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused. The student and her family, truly sorry. The Assistant District Attorney, Joshua Williams, who presented a tight-knit case that earned a conviction for the state, reminded the court that she is a convicted offender and that had inappropriate contact. Ms. Settlemeyer did not show remorse during the trial, and I do not believe she is remorseful. This process is victim-driven. The victim has lived with this for 19 years. She has been knocked down for coming out against Mama Set, the nickname that they gave her. The letters read by Golden included one from a social worker in Monroe who called Settlemeyer their favorite teacher at Cato Magnet Many of the letters refer to her teacher as Mom said. Wow. She was there for me when I needed someone to talk to about personal issues. One letter wrote, I beg you, please show her mercy. Another letter wrote, I've known her for 27 years since I was a freshman. The woman said, I do not make excuses for this lack of judgment, but I do ask for mercy. She entered the courtroom at 72 in an orange jumpsuit and a wheelchair. Although the attempted of a juvenile is a serious offense, this particular offense is mitigated by two facts. The victim was just a few months shy of the age of consent at the time of its occurrence, and she was willing to participate. She was a willing participant, often waiting as a half hour or more to rendezvous with Miss Settlemeyer. Settlemeyer allegedly had the relationship with then 16-year-old. How is that near consent? Is the consent of age? While she was the fencing coach, she retired in 2002. The student was 33 years old when she filed a complaint in 2017. It's unclear why the student waited so long. The statutory limitation is 30 years, though, from when she turns 18. So it's pretty incredible. It's a pretty remarkable case. Now she is out now. Her time is up. And again, I think if she just wasn't, I mean, everything that I saw from her made me feel like she's not remorseful. Like she didn't, the bottom line was she did admit it. She was a student, and she even, to throw, it's shocking the way that she handled this parole hearing, really. Even at the beginning, it just seemed like it was all about me. When you think you've seen it all, you see something else that just is just as shocking. It's pretty mind blowing. It really is. All right, so we'll do another one. Let's see. What do you guys think? What do you think? No, we won't do that one. I should have had it prepared beforehand. I wasn't sure if I was going to do two. Or not. So I didn't prepare, and I apologize for that. If you're not watching this live, you can, of course, skip forward. I would love to find a Mr. Roche hearing. That would be great. Here we go. Here's Mr. Roche. Now let's see if, and thank you, Richard, for setting it up. Richard put this spreadsheet together, which makes it just, as you can imagine, a different world for me in terms of trying to find things. It's a spreadsheet, it's notes, it's comments, it's timestamps. He's taking this to a whole new level. which is just something I do not take for granted. And for those of you who don't know, Richard didn't just do this. You know, he also created our logo. And he's also the banner. Some other graphic stuff. All right. Let's go.
So, Mr. Collins, I think we're ready to to open up. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is February 24th, 2021. The time is 8:34 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatz. I'm serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel today are Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Alvin Roche. The panel is conducting our hearings today by Zoom technology in response to the governor's proclamation relative to COVID-19 so that members of the public can observe and have input into the process. Our support staff for the Committee on Parole is located at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. And I'd like for staff to introduce themselves for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Teresa Dawn.
John Posher.
Thea Roten.
And our remote location is at Washita Correctional Center. And I think I heard the officer introduce himself. Could you do so again, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Deputy Marshan, Washington Parish Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, sir. And our first case is Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, good morning.
Good morning. How you all doing?
Good. Sir, would you tell us your name and your DOC number?
Marcus Collins, DOC number 486079.
All right, Mr. Collins, let me get to your record. We're here for a revocation proceeding today. Do you, I'm not sure, do you have access to a parole revocation questionnaire that you signed? Let me see, I can't find it in my record.
Yes, ma'am.
You do have it?
Yes, ma'am. I just received one.
All right. And did the officer go over that with you at your preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am. The only thing he didn't put down is my monthly income.
All right.
I'm on disability now.
Here. You are? Okay. So let me just go over the questions. I found it. I think you signed that December 4th of 2020.
December 8th.
December 8th.
Yes,
Oh, I do see that. December 8th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And this says your average monthly income is $0.
Yes,
But you're just saying you're on disability?
Yes, ma'am. I told him I'm disabled.
Okay.
I'm a double amputee.
Right. And so when you had your preliminary hearing, did you request appointed counsel?
Yes, ma'am. And a lady named Miss People say I couldn't have my attorney to come to the board or nothing, or to talk to anyone for some apparent reason.
So you have an attorney?
Yes, ma'am. I have an attorney. I'm going through some legal issues at the moment.
All right. Did you expect your attorney to be here today?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. So do you want to proceed with the revocation hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. So I'm going to read the allegations against you, Mr. Collins, and then you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. You can make a statement with either of those pleas. Sir?
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I spoke with the district manager, Mr. Darrell Anderson, and he told me to give you all his direct number.
Okay, well, we'll take that in just a minute. Let's do the preliminaries first, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me go through this. So you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. Officer Cox said that Mr. Collins was arrested on October 11, 2020 for committing the offenses of simple criminal damage to property and criminal trespassing. Collins was also later billed with committing the offenses of simple criminal damage to property and criminal trespassing. Both offenses occurred on October 11, 2020. So, Mr. Collins, how do you plead to that? Guilty or not guilty?
It was not, I'm not guilty of that.
Not guilty. Okay, and we'll hear from you in just a moment. Then the second one was condition number 10. The officer Cox stated Collins was $1,764 behind on his supervision fees. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. Well, Miss, your case has been assigned to Miss Pearl Wise. So would you answer her questions, please, sir?
That's my,
Good morning.
good morning.
Now, you said you were not guilty, but you pled guilty in court to the simple criminal damage to property on January the 20th of 21.
It's, it was a missing, see, this what it was. I had received a citation for trespassing and criminal damage to property. I had 2 counts of it. Well, on the felony, they both had been dropped down to misdemeanors. I received misdemeanor probation. But by them fast tracking me, you know, I don't know nothing about fast track, but to my understanding, by me being fast tracked, they say that everything supposed to have been down to one trespassing charge. And this the probation that I received in November.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, you got 6 months. I think we got 6 months. You were sentenced to 2 months parish jail and 24 months supervised probation. That's correct. But again, I was just confused. You pled not guilty to it, but you pled guilty in court. And that's what I was getting at.
They say it was a misdemeanor, and I was trying to tell them I was on probation, but they said in the record that they said I was revoked already. So I'm like, I couldn't get no fine. So they were like, they gave me the jail time.
Okay, all right. But you realize that because you pled guilty in court, we're gonna find you guilty of that violation for your parole.
And may I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because there's a misdemeanor for trespassing, right?
Yes, it is a misdemeanor. And all that means is, had it been a felony, your parole would have been automatically revoked.
Oh, okay.
But because it's a misdemeanor, you're still subject to revocation, but we have other options.
That's
But
right.
if it was a felony, we had no other options but to revoke. So that's the big difference.
Oh, okay.
Now tell me this, how you end up in Monroe?
Okay. Last February, I was in a tragic accident. I lost my right arm above the elbow and my right leg above the knee. And
Where were you then? I'm sorry about that.
Baton
So
Rouge.
where were you then?
I was in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
So my doctors and my lawyers up here, and my parole officer who retired last week was Mr. James Winston.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me permission to be up this way since I'm on disability, and my doctors and I'm getting like my prosthetics and everything for my medical condition. He knows that I was up here.
Oh, okay. So where were you living up here?
I was at 9360 Millhaven Road, 71202.
What is that? Is that
That
care
was a
facility?
3/4 house. Yes, ma'am. That's what that was.
Okay.
A 3/4 house.
Okay, a 3/4 house. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But it now tell me about that house. How are you eligible to be in that house?
Okay, I had attended treatment I was birth of a nervous breakdown right before the summer. And I went to Sanctuary Recovery Center out in Iowa, Louisiana, with Mr. Winston permission. And when
So wait a minute, you know we have a long day, so I'm gonna have to kind of speed you along. That's the only reason why I'm doing this, because we got to kind of speed you along. So you're in that facility because of your mental health concerns, or your drug use? Which one?
My drug use, which is I haven't used drugs for about 13 months now, but to keep my
Good for you. Good for you.
Keep my sobriety, yes, ma'am. So I
Good for
came
you.
home a day after 28 days, went to Lawton in Marion, Louisiana. And when I finished, I came out to to give me a therapist, counseling, and attend a drug class out here that I successfully graduated. So I have 13 months of sobriety now.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, with the 13 months sobriety, that brings us to, the reason why you're in jail, because you broke into the house on October the 11th of 2020. So why were you not at your facility then? What was going on?
Excuse me, I ain't breaking a house. It was a fire at an apartment complex where we were. And I can't walk. Somebody else kicked the door in. I just stayed around and got someone to call the fire department. I stayed around until someone came also. I wasn't the only one around, but they was like, I'm the one that was in the house. So I was charged with simple arson, simple burglary, criminal damage to property, got fast track just for trespass.
Right, that's right. We got all that. We got all that.
Right.
So tell us now, what do you need now? What do you need?
Well, I need to be released from here.
Where would you go?
I'll be back out here in Monroe to attend physical therapy because due to the quarantine, I haven't even attended physical therapy.
I'm sorry, when I asked you where would you go, I really meant where would you live?
Oh, out in West Monroe.
Now, who is in West Monroe?
A friend of mine.
Where's that friend today?
She's at work, I believe. I can give you her name.
So that this friend is somebody you're in a relationship with?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm not in a relationship.
Well, how did you meet her?
Make my doctor's appointment. Oh, it been a long time friend of mine.
Oh, okay. So so you are under medical care in Washington Parish. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you will be able to have transportation
to and from Baton Rouge to see my parole officer whenever I need to see them. And
now we're gonna have to transfer your case now. If you're gonna stay in Monroe, we got to transfer your case.
Okay.
So you got to be supervised by Monroe office. Okay.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So what kind of mental health doctor do you go to now?
Well, I don't have any right. I was attending a perimeter in Metairie, and I went from Metairie to Living Waters. That's on, I believe that's 80. They tell me 80.
Yeah, Living Waters on 80.
I have a counselor and a therapist, Dr. Comanche.
Okay, so you go to Living Waters in Monroe, the doctor with Mr. Levine's program.
I was in Dr. Comanche's program.
Dr. Comanche's program.
Comanche, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then your physical therapy is here too.
It will be with Dr. Gravel facility off of Louisville. That's my bone specialist.
So do you have a prosthesis now, or you in the process?
I came to jail like October 11th. It was ready for me that Friday. I have an arm and a leg out in West Monroe at Hangers.
So right now, no, you don't have it right now.
No, ma'am.
But it was ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it was ready. Okay. How long? So you've been in jail since October of 2020?
Yes, ma'am. October 11th of 2020.
Okay. All right then. That's all I had. Excuse me, one more question. There was some mention of some pending charges in Florida or Georgia. What's that all about?
No, that's not even me. That's
fine. That's fine. I just wanted a short answer.
I've never been to Florida or Georgia before.
Oh, okay.
And may I give someone Mr. Anderson number?
Oh yeah, who is that? Who is Mr. Anderson now?
That's the district manager who was handling the case, because you know that my parole officer had retired. So he knew much about the situation, also.
Okay. Give me his number. What do you have?
Area code 225
225
573
573
7397.
7397. So Mr. Anderson told you to tell us to call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. Okay.
Darryl Anderson.
What kind of, what you say his first name?
Darryl.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Sherman, that's all I had.
Thank you. Mr. Roche?
Good morning, Mr. Collins. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. Mr. Collins, your accident happened in February of 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as a result of the accident, you lost your arm and leg?
Yes, sir, on my right side. Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me how it came about that you were in a residence that didn't belong to you in October.
I was in my wheelchair, sir.
You was in your wheel.
Yes, sir. I was
Okay.
out front in my wheelchair.
Okay. And what was the purpose of you being in that residence?
Well, they gave me something to drink after they cleared the smoke out. It wasn't a big fire. It wasn't a big fire. They must have been cooking or something.
Okay, but what I'm saying, originally, why were you there?
Well, it's an apartment complex out this way. And
Okay.
I was next door.
Okay, but how did you get into your next door neighbor's apartment?
I received something to drink. I did not eat much. I didn't break enough.
So you were invited?
For a drink, yes, sir.
Okay.
I was there with the fire department. And
Okay,
they put the fire out.
so when you were there for a drink, the fire started?
No, sir, it was already a fire. It was smoke coming out of an apartment next door. Someone went off in there. I guess they thought no one was in there, but someone was in the kitchen. That's what happened. They was cooking in the kitchen.
Okay.
That's what happened. The fire department came and I was there also.
Okay.
I wasn't the only person out there, sir.
Okay. But the report said that you were in the apartment.
I was not in the apartment, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Madam Chairman.
All right, Mr. Collins, is there a statement you'd like to make to this panel?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Wise?
At this time, due to the concerns that have been presented today, I recommend that we order a mental health evaluation and continue this hearing to after those findings.
Mr. Roche?
Madam Chairman, I'm in agreement with Mrs. Wise.
All right, Mr. Collins, my vote also is the same. We're going to ask to that you be seen by a mental health professional, and then we'll see you back again once we get those results. All right?
Excuse me, is there any possible way that see, I have my medicine up front. I haven't been on my medicine since I've been incarcerated.
We'll check on it for you. We'll check on it for you. And we'll
And
call
and
Mr. Anderson.
And Miss, when you have the mental health evaluation, have the names of your treatment team in Monroe so you can give it to them. The name of all your counselors and a phone number if you have it. You know, the name of your agency, have that already lined out so we can get all your situation in one document. You understand what I'm saying?
Could I leave y'all the names or something?
No, I know. Give that to the mental health evaluation. When you get the evaluation, give all that to them, and then they can kind of check things out, and we can get some things verified and all of that. I'm just letting you know when they talk to you, let them know what agencies have been working with you. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We're trying to help you. We are trying to help you, but we're just not clear on what kind of help you need. So just hang on in there. Just hang in there.
Good luck to you, sir. I want to thank you, Deputy Marchand, for accommodating us today.
We'll do one more hearing after this, and I'll make a note to Richard now if you can find the second hearing for this so we can do a follow-up on it. I don't know what to say. The man lost his arm and his leg. It seems not with his pain medication, which and how do you even arrest a man who's missing an arm and a leg and put him in a police car and revoke him? I don't know. I don't understand. It's just so brutal. How does one even survive a system of jail or prison in that kind of shape? I just a reminder to always count our blessings. Really. Okay. Well, let's do the next one.
Ms. Polvent.
Ms. Reynolds, I believe we're ready to open up at St. Tammany.
Thank you. Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. It is 8:58 a.m. We are reconvening at St. Tammany Parish Prison. My name is Cheryl Renatza. My colleagues on the panel are Ms. Pearl Wise, Mr. Alvin Roche. Would staff at St. Tammany introduce yourself for the record, please?
Deputy First Class Jonathan Lott.
All right, thank you. And I believe we have just one case at your facility today. So, Ms. Polvent, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Kecia Polvent, 748181.
All right, good morning. I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. Then we'll start the interview process with you. Mr. Roche will do the interview with you. We'll hear from Deputy Lott to see if there's any input he can offer. And before we make a parole decision, you'll be allowed to make a statement. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Polvent, you're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 5-year sentence for possession of hydromorphone, Xanax, methamphetamines, unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling, and simple burglary. You have a parole eligibility date, which was February the 9th, 2021. Your good time is August 8th, 2021, with a full term date, November 9th, 2024. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would you answer Mr. Roche, please?
Good morning, Ms. Polvent. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Ms. Polvent, you're 37 years old, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're a third felony offender.
Yes, sir.
And basically, you've been incarcerated for 14 months on a 60-month sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Polvent, you've been incarcerated for 14 months. And I don't see any good time programs. Have you tried to get in any programs since you've been incarcerated?
They didn't offer any here, but re-entry that they just passed out to us last month.
Okay. So there's no substance abuse?
No, sir, there's nothing like that for the women.
Okay. And I think you are aware that you have a problem
Yes, sir.
and you need some help.
Yes, sir.
So are you in re-entry right now?
Yes, sir.
And how far along are you?
Like we have, the last packet is March 11th.
Last packet is March 11th, and at that time you'll get 4 months good time credit. Exactly?
Yes, sir.
And that will bring your good time date to April 8th of this year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, your third felony offender, you've been arrested on 7 different occasions and been convicted on 3 different occasions. Have you ever attended a outpatient or a treatment program when you were in the free world?
I did in 2013.
And what was that program?
It was an inpatient rehab.
Okay. And how long after you completed that program did you relapse?
6 years.
So you were 6 years clean. So tell me what event happened in your life 6 years after you went to a program and you stayed clean. What event in your life led you back to using drugs?
A loss in my family.
So you had a death in your family
Yes, my grandmother.
and you didn't use the knowledge that you had from the program to just talk and confide and ask for help from your family?
She was really my only family.
Let me tell you, you've been in and out of prisons and jails since what, November of 2018? Is that about right?
No, I've been in and out of jail since I was 19.
I know, but what I'm saying, just recently,
Yes, sir, just recently.
You have been just, let me get to that.
Yeah, 2018 when I relapsed.
Yeah. In September of 2018, you were arrested for manufacture, distribute of Schedule 1, possession of Schedule 2, prohibited drug acts and paraphernalia. You got sentenced and got probation. Is that right?
Drug court.
Well, you got probation. It was ordered as a condition to go to drug court, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you got arrested again in 2019, Schedule 2, marijuana, unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling, and you got probation again. Is that right?
No, sir, I got probation for the inhabited dwelling and the first possession charges, and then I got arrested on the other.
Ma'am, just answer my question. When you were arrested and sentenced in 2019, did you get probation?
Yes, sir.
And then you were arrested again in January of 2020.
Yes, sir.
And this time you got sentenced and you had to serve 5 years of incarceration.
Yes, sir.
So why, after getting 2 chances in 2018 and 2019, the judge saw fit to give you probation, send you to drug court in other conditions? Why did you not follow the conditions of your probation?
I don't know, sir. I really don't know why I messed up. I really don't. I knew what to do and I knew what not to do, and I let the bad stuff get the best of me.
So tell me, with an individual that has a record like that in the last 24 months and hadn't had any current substance abuse treatment, would you release her?
I believe everyone deserves another chance.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Do you have any responsibility at St. Tammany? Or do you have a job?
Yes, I do. I have a job that's been waiting for me to get out.
Ma'am, pay attention and answer my questions. Do you have a job at St. Tammany presently while you're incarcerated?
While I'm incarcerated, no, sir, I don't have a job.
Okay, so you have no responsibilities right now other than attending pre-release classes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
When was your last disciplinary write-up?
I had one in June.
June of 2020.
Yes, sir.
And what was that write-up for?
I had gotten into a fight.
And you received the number 10 or 11.
I'm not sure, sir.
Did you go to disciplinary court?
Yes, sir.
You found guilty.
Yes, sir.
What was the penalty?
2 weeks commissary restriction.
Okay. Officer First Class Lott, do you
Yes,
have any comments or observations?
She's been here, she's been in our facility since January 16th of 2020. In that time, she received one disciplinary, which was July 11th, 2020, for fighting, which was a Rule 10, and has not had any other issues since then while here.
Thank you, Officer Lott.
No problem.
Madam Chairman, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Wise?
I just wanted, good morning. I just want to inform you, as a part of this process, we do reach out to the law enforcement community to get their opinions about early release. And there's been some opposition expressed to early release. And nothing you can do about it. I just want you to be aware of that information. That's all I had, Ms. Chairman.
Ms. Polvent, you have 3 children?
Yes, ma'am.
What are their ages?
19, 16, and 12
So where do the minor children live?
with my mom.
So do you have a relationship with your mother?
We're working on that again.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am. I'm just very nervous, and I'm ready to make a difference in my life. I'm really ready to start over again because I know I can do this.
Good to hear. All right. I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Roche?
Ms. Polvent, just give me 1 second, please. Ms. Polvent, based upon your history with drug abuse in the last 24 to 36 months, based on law enforcement opposition, based on a moderate risk assessment score, a lack of rehabilitative programs, and a disciplinary write-up within 12 months of this hearing. The write-up occurred on July 11th, 2020. And number 10 for fighting, I deny your request for early release.
Ms. Wise?
I want you to know, young lady, I believe you. I believe you're going to get your life together from this day forward. I really believe that. And I see that you are capable of doing that. But today I concur with Mr. Roche. My vote is the same for the same reasons.
Ms. Polvent, I concur. The write-up is a hang-up for me. But I am encouraged by what you've said, that you're ready to start over and you know you can do it. And I know you can too. My vote today is to deny for the reasons that have already been stated. But good luck to you, ma'am. We wish you well. Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And officer, I think that concludes our business at your facility.
Well, she handled the rejection well. We've seen people throw tantrums or do other things. It's addiction is a horrible, horrible thing. Well, we're going to do another hearing after this. We'll do another hearing after this one. This one's going to be and then more of an intense one, and then that's it. We'll call it a night. But 3 kids, and it seems she'd gone on the straight and narrow for I think 6 years or something, and then it just shows. It's so hard to stay once you're. Hey, it goes back to Mr. Marabella. Once you're an addict, you're always an addict, and I know that's not true. There are many. What I see from a lot of people that are in the chat often, and I get to feel like I get to know a little bit of their life stories. It's that one thing they seem to have in common with sobriety is that they're just done. They just came to a point in their life when they were just tired, just done. Yeah, that seems to be something that I see a lot. And you have to be there. You have to be at that place where you're just done. And then you can, it seems that that's at least the right step. All right. Let's jump in.
The next case is for Dominic Cox, DOC 460136. We have Scott Musk, who is a friend who will be speaking in support, and Lorraine Humphrey, who's a mother who will be speaking in support too.
All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Dominic Cox, 460136, sir.
Dominic, my name is Brendan Kelsey. Along with me is Mr. Alvin Roche and Ms. Cheryl Renata will be your panel. I'll explain the process to you. We'll read some information to the record, have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Dominic Cox, DOC number 460136. First class offender, parole eligibility date 9/23/2021, not eligible for good time. Full term 6/23/2025, 25-year sentence, forcible rape on 8/19/02. Let me get that date down. August 19, 2002. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir. 2002 was the time I got my time, sir.
Right, from your time. All right, would you answer Mr. Alvin Roche's questions, please?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Cox. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Good. Mr. Cox, we're going to have a conversation this morning, and I'm going to ask you some questions, and then I'm going to ask you to supply some information for me, and then we'll just have a good conversation. And it's important that we disclose all information and make sure that everything's accurate, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cox, you're currently 39 years old.
Yes, sir.
And June of this year, you have served 21 years of a 25-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you pled to forcible rape.
Yes, sir.
And what was the, just 1 second, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, and you pled to forcible rape, exactly?
Yes, sir.
And tell the panel, what were the original charges?
I was originally charged with aggravated rape and aggravated oral sexual battery, sir.
Okay. And why did you plead to forcible rape?
Because I didn't want to go through a trial and put the victim through any more hardship that she had went through.
And you didn't want to go to the trial because you first of all, you confessed to having sexual intercourse with the victim, who was 7 years old at the time, in the process of babysitting this 7-year-old, and you had sexual intercourse on 3 different occasions over a year period, and you performed oral sexual on this victim on 2 occasions. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So you already confessed to the crime, and if you had a trial, were you aware of the possibilities of the sentence?
At the time, sir, no, I was not.
Do you know what the possibility or the possible sentences were?
As of right now, yes, sir. At the time, I didn't. The law I had wasn't coming to see me or not. I didn't know the process of what was going on. They didn't tell me until the day.
Okay, so you're aware that the possible sentence for aggravated rape was life without benefits, and the aggravated oral sexual battery carried a minimum of 25 years, maximum of 99 years, and the first 25 years were to be served without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension and sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you were facing life plus 99 years, even if you only got convicted of the oral sexual battery, you were facing a minimum of 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you pled to forcible rape, knowing that the minimum sentence was 5 years and the maximum sentence was 40 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the judge met you halfway and sentenced you to 25 years.
The DA, my lawyer came to me and said they were offering 25. Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically, and you agreed to the 25 years.
Yes, sir.
So basically, you are requesting parole at this time, and you agree to 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me tell you that you have tremendous opposition. You have opposition from the sentencing judge, Judge Castle. And Judge Castle says that she advises that she's opposed to any early release for the offender. He was allowed to plead to an amended charge and received a lighter sentence. You agree with the judge?
Yes, sir.
Then the district attorney's office is opposed, the sheriff is opposed, and the chief of police of Lafayette, Louisiana is opposed. Your victim, Courtney McGrath, is adamantly opposed, and I'm going to just paraphrase the statement that she submitted so that you'll be aware of this statement. My name is Courtney McGrath, and I am the victim of the crime committed by Dominic Cox. My childhood was taken from me. The actions that were done by this man will be forever sketched in my brain. I have lived with this my entire life. So at least he can do is serve his entire time. What he did to me was just not an accident. I know one day that he will get out, but he should serve the time that was given him. My life is not what it should have been. I am uncomfortable around men even to the day. And Miss McGraffier is probably 27, 28 years old now. And she is still uncomfortable around men. And that will never go away. I fear the day that he is released. I will worry every day that he finds a new victim. No one should have to go through what I did. I am requesting that the parole be denied and also delayed for as long as possible or as long as the law will allow. And the reason I had to read that statement, Mr. Cox, is that your victim, Courtney, couldn't even speak to the parole officer when she was called. She had to write this letter because she could not speak to another person about the horrendous acts that was performed on her when she was 7 years old. She has moved out of the area and she has relocated into another area of the United States. And basically, she can't even bring herself to talk about what happened to her over 20 years ago. So this is why she's not present today, because she cannot even speak to another individual because she's still mentally and physically and emotionally affected by the offenses. Now, you have a low risk assessment score, which is very good. I see where you had 13 disciplinary write-ups, but your last Class B write-up was in May of 2007, I think, almost 14 years ago. You should be commended on your disciplinary conduct over the last 14 years. I see you have a GED and you have a college degree. Tell us about your educational degrees.
Well, sir, like I said, I got my GED in 2005 when I was in Angola.
Right.
Then after that, in 2016, when they started offering Ashland University, I signed up for it. I didn't think I would be able to do it, but I did do it. I completed my associates, and then I went on for my bachelor's with 2 minors. Bachelor's of Communication with a minor of Business Management and Business Association, Business Management and Business Administration. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2019. Afterwards, I took IC3, which was a VOTEC, which I'm now a tutor for.
And you're also the clerk for Ashland University.
Yes, sir. I help those who are in school if they need any help with their class assignments and that. Since I've taken it already, I help those who need help.
Okay, Mr. Cox, I see where you're also a member of the United States JCs,
Yes,
and there's a unique situation at Allen. And I just briefly want you to tell the panel about it. You belong to the Veterans of Allen. You even live in the Honor Veterans housing, but you're not a veteran.
Yes, sir.
And you were honored because of what?
My conduct and my conduct record, and also my involvement with the community on the compound. Helping those who are needing help, as well as the security. As you know, I have multiple jobs, not just as an inmate counselor and the Ashland clerk. You know, I've always helped, try to help those who need help. And then when I'm asked to help security with something, I'm always willing to help them. So therefore, because, I not only help the vets incarcerated as a shorthand cook for staff concession, I help them with when they do their function events. I videotape it, I take pictures, as well as cook the meals and set up for them.
So basically you have 3 jobs right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just to go over some of the other programs that you completed, personal development, solving problem, anger management, victim awareness, employment skills, money management, reentry, and you've taken 3 phases of the sex offender. Have you completed phase 4?
So at this time, they don't have the phase 4 in progress at this facility. I've talked to the mental health lady about doing it, but she has said that right now they are not doing phase 4.
Okay. All right. And did she give you any idea when she would start up with phase 4?
No, sir.
Okay. And you've also completed living in balance.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to go over some of your accomplishments. You have a bachelor's of arts from Ashland, a social degree from Ashland. You have a letter from Ashland because you made the Dean's List. You belong to Honor Society at Ashland, GED 205. And you've done multiple classes with the Consular Substitute Training. And I'm just amazed at the amount of support letters that you have from institutional staff. You have letters of support from Major Terry Langley. Okay. And this iPad would freeze up on me. You have a letter of support and recommendation from the Housing Unit Director, Lieutenant DeLone. You have a letter from Captain Struggs, who is the night shift supervisor, Lieutenant Scheckschneider, Captain Briscoe, who's the shift supervisor for Team A, and Captain Thibodeau, shift supervisor from Team B. A letter of accommodation and recommendation from Colonel Alleman, and a letter of support from Ms. Crystal Simon, ARD specialist. So basically, you have served your time well. I've never seen as many support letters signed by officials of the facility. So evidently you have done very well. Go over your work experience. In 204, 206, you are a field worker. You did building maintenance from 206 to 208, compound grass, 209, and you've been a offender consulate in Ashland, clerk and tutorer since 2009 to present. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
And you have a employment agreement with LSL Properties.
Yes, sir.
And you have a residence plan with the owner of that business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's in Leesville, Louisiana?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, would you like to add any more information to the interview?
Can I speak, sir, openly?
No, sir, you'll get a statement. You'll get a chance to make a statement at the end. Is there any other information that you would like to enter into the record?
No, sir.
Okay. Warden, I'm almost sure there's some staff members that would like to say a couple of words. Before you speak, is there any one of your staff that would like to say a few words? I'll give them a minute or so to make a statement if they wish.
Mr. Roche, this is Ms. Simon, and I don't have anything additional to add other than the letter of support that I've already submitted. And I echo what my letter says.
Okay, Warden?
Mr. Roche, I think you've covered everything and pretty comprehensively. Like you indicated, you know, he's been here without any significant disciplinary for, I think, a 14-year period, very active in programs and very active in the Allen facility and in many different positive capacities. So I don't have anything else to add beyond that.
Okay, Mr. Cox, one last question.
Yes, sir.
If you could speak to the victim and her family, what would you say?
That I'm truly sorry for what I did. And there's nothing, no matter how much time I do, it would never undo what I did. And I'm truly sorry. I could spend the rest of my life in prison and it still never changed the fact of what I did and the hardship that I caused them. And I'm not just want to tell them I'm sorry. I regret that day for the rest of my life. So.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Ms. Renazzi, you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
All right, we'll hear from Mr. Scott now. Friend. You're on mute. All right, you're off mute.
Yes, sir. My name is Scott Music. I have known Dominic Cox for approximately 12 years, you know, and he's an impeccable young man. I am the owner of LSL Properties here in Leesville, Louisiana. I do have a business partner who is a member of the East Leesville Baptist Church here. I have offered and will provide Mr. Cox a job, full-time job, and a place to stay if he's, you know, granted parole or even after he gets out. I believe he's worth the shot. And I don't know, they told me to keep it brief, so I just hope this helps out. And if y'all have any questions for me, please ask.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your input. Ms. Humphrey?
Do I go back to mute?
What happened?
Ms. Humphrey, okay, go ahead, Ms. Humphrey, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm his mother, and I just wanted to briefly say he went in as a child and he's coming out as a man. And I know how much he regrets the decision he made. And I know how sorry he is for what he's done. And he's just improved so much in the years that he's been there, and he's accomplished so much. I just think that it's worth giving him a shot to do and be the man that he can be outside of that jail. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Cox, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Since 1999, there hasn't been a day that's gone by that I've not thought about the actions that I've caused, as well as the hardship that I've caused the victim. And I understand that no matter what I do, how much time I serve, it won't be enough. So when I committed this crime, I was a kid. I'm 39 years old today. And I'm not the same individual that I was when that crime was committed. And all I could say is, it'll never happen again. And this, you know, I've learned my lesson. I've taken programs to help myself to better myself. So when I do am able to return to society, I won't come back. I'm not saying that I deserve to have parole, but everybody deserves a second chance, and that's all I'm asking. I regret what I did. Nothing I could do is going to change what happened. No matter how much time I do, and I regret it. If I could go back in time and undo it, I would. And I'm truly sorry for what happened. I'm a better man. I hate to say it, but prison was a blessing for me, because if I wouldn't have came to prison, I wouldn't be who I am today. I've grown so much in these 21 years, not just as a, mentally, but as well as spiritually. I just ask the board to please consider. I understand I have opposition. I do. I just pray that, I'll be able to have a second chance to prove, not just to me, but to my family, to society, and to the parole board, that these classes that I've taken do actually work. I just ask that y'all do take in consideration everything. I understand I do have opposition. There's really not much else to say, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, is panel prepared to vote?
Mr. Chairman, may I have a brief executive session?
Okay, I have a motion for executive session.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Roche,
Yes.
Ms. Renata,
Yes.
Mr. Kelsey.
Yes.
Is it just me, or does Mr. Kelsey always seem annoyed, agitated, or like he wants to be somewhere else? And he's still, this hearing was done, in 2020, and he still kind of acts the same. Yeah, he still acts the same way. And the craziest part about him is that, these positions, they're nominated by the governor. It's not an elected position. It's not a position the governor literally handpicks you and puts you at here. And Kelsey's qualifications is, drum roll, I know a lot of you already know this, but a physical therapist. Yes. That's it. He knows how to help if you have a backache. I don't know how he got this position, but that's Louisiana for you. And he's done things to really get under my nerves. A lot of our nerves. He cuts off, he'll interrupt victims from speaking and all terrible stuff. I don't know what they're discussing. This cockroach needs to be locked up and do all his time. All you have to do is listen to the victim statement. I mean, that statement just shook you to the bones. I'm so happy Mr. Roche read it. I'm so happy he started off with it. And when it comes down to it, this Roach, he's still, he's nearing the end of his sentence. He has, his 5 more years from the time of this date. It's like, you really care? You really care about what you did? And just do your time. Like Mr. Roche is saying, just do your time. 7 years old. No, you weren't a boy. You were a full-grown man. Did any of you did either of you pick up how his mother was rolling her eyes and making faces when they were talking about the victim? She did it, I think, at least twice, if not more. And that's just sick. It's disturbing. Not to mention, I think it was a relative, a 7-year-old relative. I don't know, a niece, I guess. I don't. And do you think they're going to vote him through? You think they're going to parole him? You don't know with this board. I don't know what they're looking at. I don't know what they're talking about. But here's the question that I have. The veterans, do you think they know what he did? Do you think they know his record? That they would like vote to have him join the veterans ward? A man who did that to his 7-year-old?
All right, I think we're back in session now. Is panel prepared to vote?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Roche.
Mr. Cox, this is a very, very difficult case for me. I am the victim's advocate. I am the member of this committee to protect the interests of the victims and see that the victims have input into the process. And this process started with a 17, 18-year-old man who was babysitting a 7-year-old in 1999. This process involves a 27, 28-year-old victim who's still mentally and physically and emotionally affected by this crime, to the point where she won't even speak of this crime. We have law enforcement opposition. We have a plea agreement in which you agreed to. And I have to take all that in consideration. I also have to take in consideration how you have performed while you were incarcerated for the last 14 years. You have no disciplinary write-ups. You have accomplished GED, a associate degree, and a Bachelor's of Arts degree. You have done so well that you are the clerk for the university at Allen. You're also a tutorer and also a person who assists fellow inmates in their legal problems and help them to get answers to their legal situation. You have performed very well. Evidently, you have the support of the warden and his staff. You have served at the time of your parole eligibility date, you would have served 85% of your sentence. I would be remiss in my duties if I did not recognize all that you've accomplished. And I hope that you become a productive member of society. For that reason, I'm going to vote to grant your request this morning, to give you that second chance. If it was not for your stellar performance while incarcerated, I would not be doing that this morning. If you just did the run-of-the-mill rehabilitation, you would not be getting my vote this morning. Now, your parole date is not until September. If the warden in the mental health department starts that phase 4 of the sex offender treatment, I would like you to get as much of that in before September. But I'm not going to make that a condition of your release, because it may not start up. But I want you to make a formal request to the warden that if that program starts up, you would like to be a part of it and get as much of it before you are released in September. After release, you'll have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. You must do community service at the rate of 5 hours per month. You can't do the community service with youth, so I'm going to leave that up to your parole officer and you. But you need to do some community service at the rate of 5 hours a month. I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Cox. Have you ever had any problems with alcohol or drugs?
No, sir.
Then I'm going to leave the NAAA meetings to the discretion of your parole officer. Okay? And basically, that is all the conditions that I will place. Oh, no contact with the victim or the victim's family. Under no circumstances do you contact the victim or the victim's family. Just by circumstances, if you happen in the same space as that victim, even if you're in a checkout line at Walmart, you leave the groceries and you walk out.
Yes, sir.
Under no circumstances are you to be in the same space as the victim or the victim's family. That is my decision.
Ms. Renata?
Mr. Cox, based on the work that you've done, your achievements, the favorable remarks by the staff and the warden, you have excellent programs, a low risk score. My vote today is to grant your parole. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have 2 votes to grant your parole today. It's clear as we've gone over this file multiple times. It's clear all the work you've done, the things that you've done. That's positive. You've worked hard and you're doing a lot for those guys inside, and that's important too. I am historically consistently, my concern is that you don't have phase 4. I mean, I've been consistent with, I like to see these cases get all phases. I realize it's not your fault, but that's something that I'd like to see you complete is phase 4. I think you did get a great sentence. I really believe in this crime. And you have strong opposition, you have strong victim opposition, you have strong law enforcement opposition. And, you're providing a great service in there. I appreciate everything that I've heard today, but today for me, I'm going to have to vote to deny your parole. Law enforcement opposition, victim opposition, again, I've been consistent. I'd like for you to have your phase 4. And I think you can get it if you come back and get it, come back in front of me, then it'll be a different outcome for me. But that's where I am on that. So you have 2 votes to grant, 1 vote to deny. Unfortunately, parole's been denied. Thank you.
Wow. And I was just bashing Mr. Kelsey. Whoa, look at that. I owe you an apology, sir. I don't know. Isn't that a shocker? When Mr. Roche said, I'm going to grant, I literally yelled at the screen. I said, no. And then Miss Renata and then I can't believe it. I just went on a rant how I dislike him so much, and here he is saving the day. Okay, sir, I salute you. I owe you an apology. I mean, you still do treat victims very, very insensitively, but at least in this case, and the reason he said it though was not for the victim. It's because he sticks with, well, you need to finish phase 4. Mr. O'Shea, you surprise me. Maybe over time, he's changed his stance over the years, but I mean, I'm just shocked. As a victim advocate, we have always seen him stand up for the victim, and here we have the victim read that with that letter, and how can you do anything but deny he altered the course of her life as she said it? You stole my childhood from me. It's forever sketched in my brain what you did to me. The least he can do is serve his time. Why would he? Mr. O'Shea, I'm shocked and disappointed. I'm actually really upset. It's just so uncharacteristic. Now, this was in 2021. It's 2 years later. People do evolve, and maybe Mr. O'Shea has evolved over the time, and we have to give him credit for that. At least this wasn't recently that he did this. Wow. She was 7 years old. You didn't even have a sobriety issue. You're sober. How? You don't deserve to get out early. It's just crazy. So he can offend again? Like the victim said, she's just nervous that there'll be when there is another victim. Mr. O'Shea. No, their decision making has evolved. There's no way Mr. O'Shea will let someone out unless they finish all 4 phases. They just don't. And we saw a hearing earlier where she had that write up. It's easy to forget about it. Kecia. And today they don't even take the hearing. If you had a write up within 12 months, they don't even take the hearing. You don't even get a chance to talk. So, I don't know if you picked up on it, Miss Renatza, her phone beeped and she looked at her phone and she lit up like a Christmas tree. I wonder who was texting her. But